Thank you so much, Margaret. This is such an amazing opportunity, folks, and I'm really excited to bring to you some new insights around how we can master project management. It's a really important topic for whenever you're working with big impact projects or even small local community-driven projects. And this is specifically tailored to provide tools and tactics for the Ibero-American nonprofit world. And I want to just express my sincere gratitude to all of our sponsors who've made this possible today. This includes the Essel Foundation, Fundación Descúbreme, ATOS, GIZ in Germany, Enable India, and the company that I work for, Inclusive Creation. So thanks to all those folks for making this possible. And before I go further, I want to turn the floor over to our colleagues at Fundación Descúbreme, who is now known as Zero Project Ibero-America. If I could please ask someone from that group to come forward and just take us through some of the changes that are happening there in your work.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I will change into Spanish just very quickly. So I'm very sorry.
Okay, so good morning everybody, and thanks a lot for being here today. As Margaret has mentioned, we have some technical issues to activate audio into Spanish. We hope that this will be solved soon, and we ask you for your patience. I would like to thank you for being here today in this masterclass about how to improve the work we are carrying out with organizations in order to approach and to tackle and to reach more people who need us, and in a better way, of course. My name is María Ignacia Rodríguez. I represent, in this case, in this event, Fundación Descúbreme, which is an organization from Chile that works for people with disabilities, and we have enlarged the Zero Project family in our region into Latin America and in those countries that share all cultural roots. We are a community of people, community of organizations, community of companies, of international bodies who are interested in working more and better for the inclusion of people with disabilities. I don't want to take much longer, but I would like to tell you that as Zero Project Ibero-America, we organize many activities throughout the year. In the screen you can see some of the next activities that we have. This is the first webinar of a series of 3. The next one will take place on January 15th and the last one April 15th. We are organizing also a seminar in Madrid that will take place in February next year, and of course our annual conference Zero Project for Ibero-America that will be carried out in Santiago de Chile in May 6th. So we'll be waiting for you here, and this conference is organized in Spanish, Portuguese and English, and so all of you who are interested in this work and who belong to this region are welcome. So I would like to thank you, and I will give the floor back to Anthony, and so thanks a lot everybody again.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for your patience. I just gave a very detailed welcome to everyone, and please, the microphone and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maria Ignacia, and thank you so much for all the support that you guys give us. This is such a worthwhile and meaningful project for all of us, and I just want to express my sincere gratitude. So today what I'm going to take you through are my top 3 tips for mastering project management. And I want to bring these tips to you through stories. I always think that there's a lot of value to learning about successes and failures in real life and learning how to apply those successes in your work. So I'm going to start with a story about one of my students. So I'm a professor at a university in addition to working for Inclusive Creation. And one day, one of my students came to my office and she said, Anthony, I really want to do something about this issue of gender inequality. And I was kind of, a little bit taken aback because it's not typical that students come into my office and give me these really big, challenging issues. And she said, Anthony, I want to do something about this. And I found that the European Union, the EU, the government body that regulates all of the European states, they have a funding program for gender inclusive innovation. And I said, wow, that sounds like something super exciting, something super important. Let's take a look at that together. So we go through the funding program. We look at all the language and the policies and the ideas that the EU wanted the applicants to be able to do. And we came up with a loose structure that gave us a little bit of a skeleton to work with. We knew we wanted to do something around gender inclusion. We knew we wanted to do something around innovation and entrepreneurship, but we wanted to make sure that there were a lot of partnerships involved in this project. We didn't just want to sit in my office and think big thoughts. We wanted to take this to the communities that matter most in this kind of work. So her and I started to do some research, and we looked into all the grassroots organizations involved in gender and equity around the world, and we found 24 different organizations. And we started to contact them. We reached out and asked them if they would be interested in partnering with us in this project proposal. What we wanted to do was apply for €1 million to support gender inclusion around the world. And as we started to reach out to each of these partners, they would come back and ask us more questions, things that we hadn't really thought about, things that we hadn't considered. And we started to slowly but surely put some meat on the bones. We started to slowly but surely make some concrete tasks and activities that we could add to the proposal. And so each one of those conversations became a new opportunity for us to plan better, for us to think more critically about the things that we wanted to do. And it was with a lot of excitement and a lot of joy that we took that idea, fleshed it out into a 200-page proposal, and submitted it to the European Union for consideration for this €1 million prize. And one of these things that you never learn about is that when you submit this sort of proposal, it's always very melodramatic. You just kind of hit send or hit submit, and then nothing happens. Maybe you get an email saying thank you for your submission, but that's more or less it. And I wanted there to be some celebration, some fanfare. So we wait several weeks, and finally one day I get an email from the European Union, from their director, saying that we have won top prize in this competition. And we were we were so excited to have this opportunity, because now we have the resources to do something tangible. And the only reason we were able to get this funding, the only way we were able to get this piece of work, was because we submitted a very clear and concrete project plan. Just as a broad overarching theme, we focused on 4 different areas. Number 1 was just assessing the state of the art in gender inclusive innovation in countries around the world, 24 countries. And the second piece was then running a series of events, 24 different events, one in each country, dedicated to creating new opportunities for women to participate in innovation and entrepreneurship. The third piece was then taking the leaders, the people who stand out in the crowd from these events, and bring them together in a 3-week leadership boot camp. And this gave us a chance to elevate those new voices of women in their communities and in their countries. And the last key step was to bring everyone together for one final event to showcase the value of our work. And we planned this project to the minute detail. We took it down to such a concrete specification that we were able to explain exactly what we were going to do at every step of the project. So this is my first key lesson in project management. Make sure that you are planning with clarity. Make sure that you're building a strong and clear foundation based on a specific set of activities so that you can ensure that what you're doing is clear and easy to operationalize. And I want to be very, very blunt with you. Just because you have a plan doesn't mean you have to stick rigidly to that plan. The best project managers are able to be flexible and dynamic in their approach to their work. What that means is you might have a plan in day one and something happens, and in day two, you have to have a completely different plan. So you must be flexible and respond to changing conditions. And what that means is you got to be ready to throw out the plan at any point and come up with a new plan. And my suggestion for everyone out there who's doing this kind of work is to think in 2-week blocks. Make sure that you're not trying to project a plan so far into the future that it's difficult to anticipate all the eventualities. Think about what can be achieved in the next 2 weeks. And then a week later, what's the next thing to do 2 weeks from then? If I could just ask everyone to please make sure you're on mute. Okay, we're good here. So that's my first key takeaway for project management. Make sure you have a plan, but be ready and be flexible in how you approach that plan. The second key takeaway I want you to understand has to do with communication. And I want to tell you a story that's a little bit personal to me. So I have a confession to make. I've always thought of myself as an adventuresome person, but I never realized how safe and quiet I was until I met my wife. My wife takes adventure to a whole nother level. And so once we got married and we were planning our honeymoon, I wanted to show her how adventurous I could be. So I found a very small village in a rural area of China. And I said, let's go there and do something exciting, do something different, do something new. And she was all in. She said, yes, let's make this happen. I'm thrilled to have an adventure with you. And so we get to this village and it's picturesque. It's beautiful. And we're walking around one day and I'm looking over at her and I'm seeing her look a little bit disappointed. Seeing her feeling like maybe there's something more exciting we should be doing. And I saw a travel agency along the street, and it was this old building, all dusty and all kind of showing its age. We go inside and there's stacks of paper all over the place, and there's posters in Chinese, and there's an old man behind a desk and he gestures us to sit down. He speaks to us in Mandarin, which we didn't understand anything. Thankfully, we had Google Translate to help us translate from Mandarin to English. And he's asking us what we're interested in doing, and we're just kind of pointing to different posters along the wall. And finally, he comes out with this brochure of a place that he said was called Tiger Leaping Gorge. Now, I told my wife I wanted to have an adventure, but what I didn't tell her is that I am terrified of heights. It's something that instills such fear and anxiety from me that my whole body just seizes up. And so she said, yes, I would love to go to this place, Tiger Leaping Gorge. And I, in my fear, thought to myself, maybe they're all full and they won't have any space for us. And the old man says, yes, we have 2 more spots available. And so now my heart is beating so fast in my chest. Later that day, we get on a bus that takes us hours outside of the countryside. And we get to this place, Tiger Leaping Gorge. And it's one of those places that you can stand at the edge and look down, and there's a 100-meter drop below you. And I thought to myself, well, I'm here to take some pictures, and then we can get on the bus and go back into the village. But at that moment, I saw the whole crowd of people from our bus start to congregate at this small trail, this dirt trail that meandered down the mountain. And on one side of me, there was just this cliff, And on the other side of me, there's just a straight drop off. And there's about 1 meter space on the trail. And we're slowly making our way down. And my wife is so happy. She's having an adventure. And I am so scared that I'm clinging against the face of the cliff, just trying as hard as I can not to slip and fall. We get to the bottom, and I hadn't considered the fact that we're going to have to come back out of this ravine somehow. And one of the other people on our tour asks us, do you want to take an escalator back up? And I thought to myself, in Norway, where I live, an escalator is an electric staircase that takes you from one floor to the other. How is there an escalator out here in the middle of rural China? But I didn't want to ask any questions because I just thought to myself, this is the way I can get out with the least amount of heights, the least amount of fear. Well, little did I know, a few minutes later, they took us to the escalator, which was actually just a metal ladder that they had embedded in the side of the cliff, going up about 100 meters. Now my fears have completely overcome me. And I am terrified of every step I have to take in order to get out of this gorge. And so there I am, one rung at a time, slowly making my way up this ladder. Every rung I'm exhaling, and with every breath, a cloud of dust blows up in front of me. And I'm slowly but surely making my way up this ladder. And at the top, I was so exhausted from the stress and the anxiety that I just laid on the ground, completely spread eagle, just completely dead tired. And my partner, my wife, is sitting next to me, and she kind of nudges me, and I sit up, and I look out over this beautiful gorge, and I look and see the sun setting in the distance. And I'm realizing that there was a lot of value in me having overcome my fear of heights. And I want to bring something out in this story that's really important when it comes to your managing projects. Communication is at the core of a lot of the work that we're going to be doing when we try to create an innovation that is creating impact. And just like in this story where someone told me that there was going to be an escalator, but turned out it was something entirely different, your communication might break down in some way, shape, or form. So it's critical when you're managing a project effectively for you to always prioritize your communication. And that may mean you have to say the same thing in multiple different ways and in multiple different formats so people understand better what you're talking about. It may mean that you have to use Google Translate if you're going to communicate from one language to another. But one way or the other, you have to prioritize communication. And this will help enhance your collaboration. It'll help create an effective team who can achieve their goals. And it'll help align the work that you're doing with all of the important stakeholders that you're working with. And this will ensure that your project progresses very smoothly and it'll progress in a very easy way. I like to say that leadership, when it comes to project management, is founded on effective communication. That's what gives you the support. That's what gives you the life to your project. So with that, I want to invite another guest. We have a third key tip for project management, but we're saving it to the end because I have a very special guest here who's leading a project called Giannoumis 3D. So Esteban, I would love it if you could please turn on your camera and join me here so that we can talk through some of the important work that you're doing and get a better understanding for how effective project management has been key to your success. Esteban, can I ask if you are here? Is there anyone from Giannoumis 3D that can speak?
Hey, hello, Anthony.
Hello, how
Can you
are
hear
you?
me?
Yes, I can hear
Awesome.
you, but I'm unable to see you, I'm afraid.
Well, I have my camera on. I don't
There you
know.
are,
I can see
Esteban.
myself.
So nice to see
Awesome.
you. You're looking fabulous over there. Beautiful. So Esteban, I'd like to start off, maybe if you could just say a few words about your work, just a couple of sentences so we can get an understanding for what you're doing.
Of course, absolutely. Well, hi, I'm Esteban from Colombia, and well, I just the CEO at Humanos 3D. This, in a summary, is a place where we create a bridge between disability and possibility, just creating a project that's called Mobile Clinics, where we are going to different places around Colombia, delivering assistive devices like a prosthetics for people with open limb disabilities. So we are using 3D printing technology in that way. It's an easy way to access to this technology for those people that live far away from the city.
That's absolutely fabulous. And it's such an important and impactful piece of work. I'm wondering if you could start off by sharing some key strategies or some tools that you're using to coordinate these projects, especially considering how international they are in scale.
Absolutely. Well, it's difficult to talk about actually an strategy. I mean, I think that every day the strategy is changing and you need to adapt it to the context or the things that are happening and just to take in the opportunity. Uh, I would like to say that maybe we have three important tips in Humanos 3D that is the way that we are working and looking for new opportunities. Maybe that could sound like a cliche, but I think that the first tip will be believe in yourself, right? I mean, believe it. You need to understand your purpose. You need to understand what are you doing and why are you doing it. So it's important that you trust in the things that you're doing and try to focus into know you yourself. If you know yourself, then you can know to others. And this is important. If you want to understand to the recipients, if you want to understand the clients or the donors or the everyone, it's important to know yourself first and to understand who you are and why you're doing the things that you're doing. And probably you're going to feel lost. Probably you're going to feel like you fall, you're knocking doors every day, and a lot of people is going to say not. So you need to be strong, because when you find the first yes, when you find just one yes, this is a really a great opportunity to continue finding more people that's going to involucrate. I mean, if an enterprise say, hey, these people is helping to Humanos 3D, probably I should help too. And then we are going to create more community and we are going to have more confidence with our recipients and with the things that we are doing. So that would be my first step. Believe in yourself, believe in your purpose, to be sure what you're doing. And in other words, we'll say like understand the problem, understand the context, understand why are you doing this and why this is important. When you understand the problem, I think that you have the 80% of the task. You know why is happening, you know why it's happening, and then you go to the next tip. I think the next tip is think outside of the box. That's important, to see the problem and see why is happening right now, what solution existing right now, what the people is doing. In my case, the problem in Colombia is that we live in a really bad context of violence in before, with the war, with the landmines, and we saw that there is a lot of people that have lost their hands for landmines, and that's why we are starting to see the first problem. Okay, people need a prosthetics because the health system, maybe the state, is not awarding in the better way, in the best way to those people. So we can produce something in a low cost, like with 3D printing, for those people that maybe don't have access to a prosthetic. And then we saw the other problem. They live far from the city. They can't come to the office. For them it's difficult for distance, for money, for time, for security. Was really tricky to access to our recipients to the office, and always the recipient come with the family, with their mom, with their brothers, and then we need to think about what to do with the hotel, with the travel, everything. So that was not sustainable. In the end, we say, okay, this is not working, and we say, in pandemics, we saw an opportunity. In pandemic, we say, okay, this is the end of this, because now people can come to the office, or maybe this is an opportunity. And we say, what if we go to the people? What if we travel and we create the mobile clinics to travel to these people, and we started to impact in a better way. We were delivering around 5-10 devices per year, and after pandemics, we started to deliver around 100 devices per year. So that was exponential impact, and that was just because we say, okay, we need to think out of the box. We need to think in a solutions for this, and we say, okay, maybe it's simple. Maybe we just need to go to the people, and that was one of really great opportunity. And in that way, we just go to the three and last tip that we say, take the risk, right? So we know the first one, we know the problem, we know ourselves, we know the purpose. we know the solution, we know what we are thinking out of the box, and now we take the risk. We say, okay, we need to show this project. We need to say, okay, this is the problem, this is the solution. Who's gonna help us? And then we just start, like I said, like I tell you, to knock the doors, to say to everyone, hey, this is what's happening. Do you want to help? Do you want to join? And then people say not every time. So we say, okay, we need to continue looking for, and always you're gonna feel frustrated. You're gonna feel like, why people is not helping? How can I find? And then, sometimes you just knock the door in the right place. You just need to open your mind and to looking for different place. And that's why I'm here right now with Scaling Solutions. That's why I found my principal sponsor that was with the airline. You need to looking for who can give you who can help you with the solution. So I talking with an airline in Colombia, and with that we had the opportunity to get a match. And then we say, okay, you can travel in a plane to those the communities. We are going to sponsor you. We are going to be with you. And with this one sponsor, we had the opportunity to find more people that join us, and with that we had the opportunity to have impact. So with these three words, with these three phrases: believe in yourself, think out of the box, and take the risk. Well, I think that this is how the strategy of Humanos 3D is working right now. This is not going to work for everyone, but the most important is that, that you believe in this, and then continue knocking doors, and then continue fighting, because you know you believe in this, and you know that that can be really impactful and useful for people.
Esteban, that is just fabulous, fabulous advice. I always say that a lot of these initiatives don't fail because of any fundamental problem with the business or the organization. They fail because a lot of the founders just give up. They give up hope. And so you've given me hope just hearing your words. And I hope everybody in the room is also hearing these words, because I think this can help inspire us all to keep going, even when things get difficult. So the second and last question I want to ask you is, how do you ensure that project planning, and more importantly, execution, stays flexible and adaptive? And how can you be inclusive in your work as a leader?
Well, that's a tricky one. You give me like a little clue for this answer. I would say that the first word I think here is to be flexible, to have the opportunity to listen to the others, to understand what the people need, what the enterprises needs, what the clients needs. So when you listen to them, when you really listen the needs of the people that you need, then you understand, okay, I can give you value in this way, on this other way. So when you understand, you are not going to ask him for a favor. You are going to ask you for a partnership. So you need to give, and you need to, on the other side, to understand what other places, what other recipients, clients, or enterprises can give it to you. So the idea is to work in a win to win, and always to think in a way. If I win, you win. And then is when we're working in the principles and the values that we have. So the most important is to understand that what values or what principles have the partners, the stakeholders, to understand, okay, maybe we can work together, or maybe they don't care about it. They really are not much with us. And then we need to think, okay, we can be flexible, but we need to respect our values. So we need to understand, okay, this is really going to be helpful, or maybe this is just going to be a problem, because if you just want to win and I'm going to lose, or in the other side, I win and you lose, well, this is not going to work. We always need to think in a win to win. And the most important when you're talking, when a probably client, donor, or enterprise that want to help you, is to have clear all the indicators, all the information that you have. You need to understand it. So we go again to the same tips. You need to understand your project. You need to understand what is the problem, and what are the statistics, what are the indicators, to be sure about what you're talking about. And in that way, it's always that people asking, so what are you doing, how are you doing, and how many people are you going to impact? And then with the things that we are doing right now, we can show these things. The first problem is to find the first partner. When you find this first partner, this is going to be easier, because someone believes in you, and then you can start. And probably you're going to fail in the beginning, and probably you're going to say, okay, that was not working that as well like I projected. But then you just can negotiate. You can say, okay, I'm doing this, I made a mistake, I can make it better. I just need your support. You know that this has a really good purpose. You know that this has a really good value, have future, has a good impact. We just need to continue working. And the most important thing is that, maybe this is another tip, you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. Sometimes when you start with this, you always say, okay, I need to do this, I need to communicate, I need to sell, I need to do everything. But at the end, you need to delegate. You need to know who can help you. And you can find two kind of person that can help you. That one is gonna do everything that you want, and that you can do delegate some tasks, but you need to find another most important than that, and you need to find someone that tell you not every day. You propose something, say, okay, that's not good, that make you think, make you change your perspective. In that way, you can find mentors like you, Anthony. You can find people that think in another perspective and give you. They never gonna say it's not like a just employee that say you yes to everything. You need to find someone that say you not, that tell you why you should take another path. And in that way, we can build something beautiful. We can build really something that give a real impact, because you are never gonna be right in everything. You always make mistakes. You can't do it by yourself. You need to looking for mentors. You need to looking for partners. And if you have a right hand, well, it's spectacular. If you have a best friend, you have someone that knows about the project and can be your right hand, and it's gonna tell you the truth. That is not gonna just say you, yeah, you're doing okay, yeah, you can keep working. If it's gonna be hard with you and it's gonna make you cry, that's important. If he makes you cry, that's fine, because he is gonna be realistic and he's gonna open your mind. He's gonna give you another path for follow. So I would say that more or less, this is my humble advice I have for create that kind of projects and continue working, creating community.
Thank you so much, Esteban. You have so many words of wisdom there. And I just want to reiterate something you said about your partnerships. I always say that you want to partner with someone you love, but not someone you like. I think when we start to like someone, we get blinders on and we don't realize some of the flaws in what we're doing, and they're not willing necessarily to challenge us. So working with someone who will make you cry is a very, very good thing, because that gives you a chance to improve. Thank you again, Esteban. All right, folks, we are starting to wind down here. We're scheduled till 45 minutes after the hour, but we're going to go a little bit long because we started a little bit late. And I want to share with you this last story and this last tip for mastering project management. So very recently, a business partner and I from Ecuador actually started working on a card game for children that teaches children about innovation. And so we came up and we prototyped this card game, and we were very, very excited to be able to develop it because it was a chance to create some real impact. And we found out that the Norwegian government was providing some funding for these sorts of projects. And that was really exciting because it gave us a chance to try to get some financing, some resources to take this project even further. And so we got a chance to present it for a jury, a panel of evaluators. And we go into the evaluation and we talked about our why. We explained the purpose behind the project. We talked about how we wanted to create value, and we showed them this is what we've come up with. This is what we've actually done. And the jurors looked at us for a little while and they kind of just shook their head and they asked us, well, what kind of measurements do you have to show that this works? And we said, well, we haven't really measured anything. And they said, well, what is your long-term goals in terms of how you're going to measure your progress? And we said, well, we don't really have anything. And they said, well, how do you even know this is going to fix any kind of challenges when it comes to the educational system? And we said, we just don't know. We don't have the data. And so this is my third key tip for mastering project management. Make sure that you are tracking your progress regularly. Set up clear milestones and use tools and strategies to make sure that you're staying on course. One of the tools I actively use now is called Quantive. It's an online web application that you can use to track what's called OKRs, which are basically an objective and a key result. So use tools like that to monitor your progress. Maybe you just need a simple solution so you can use like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. But use something to make sure that your project is staying on track, that it's meeting its milestone, and that you're evaluating your progress. And once you've gotten these tools in place, make sure that you're revisiting the assessment. Make sure that you're revisiting so that you know the kind of measurements that you've taken to see your progress along your journey. So with that, I'm going to start wrapping up the last little piece here. We wanted to open up the floor to any sort of questions that you might have. So if you have some ideas about project management, or maybe you just want to ask a question to myself or Esteban, could you please pop it into the meeting chat and just see if there's an opportunity here to make some clarifications or to continue to discuss this really important work. So feel free to add any questions you might have to the chat or to the Q&A. There's a Q&A button that you can use where you can ask a question of myself or Esteban, and we can help clarify some of the real challenging issues around project management. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes here to take a chance to ask a question. I love silly questions. I love complicated questions. I love fun questions. So anything that pops into your mind that you'd like to know more about, please just add that to the Q&A, or if you're able to add it to the chat, you can add it there to the chat as well. I'm not sure if you're able to raise your hand and ask a question that way, but if you can, go for it. We'll field a couple of your questions here before we finally wrap up. I want to remind you again what Esteban had said. 3 really important things to take on board when you're thinking about how to manage projects effectively. Number 1, just make sure you're clear on your why. Make sure your purpose is very clear to you. Number 2, make sure you stay creative. Think outside of the box. Challenge yourself to come up with something new or innovative, something that no one's done before. And number 3, make sure that you're willing to take those risks that you need to move your venture forward. And Esteban also talked about how important flexibility is in your work and being clear that the information that you're communicating to your partners and your clients is very easy to understand. And lastly, that you as a founder, as an innovator, can't do it alone. You need partnerships. You need people that you can work with. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming up in the chat, and I don't see any questions coming in the Q&A. So I'm going to take this moment to say goodbye to you all, to say thank you for the chance to bring some of these lessons across. And I want to just encourage you all to take a minute and please follow Scaling Solutions on social media. Check out our website at scalingsolutions.zeroproject.org. And thank you again to the sponsors of this event, the Essel Foundation, Fundación Descúbreme, ATOS, GIZ, Enable India, and my company, Inclusive Creation. I see someone from Zero Project Latin America has spotlighted themselves, so I want to give you a chance to say a few words if you'd like. Anyone from Zero Project Latin America want to say something before we close?
Hi, Anthony.
Hi.
Hi. I would like to say something in Spanish for those people who couldn't understand English. So I'm going to say a message to them.
Please do. Please.
So good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for being here. Sadly, we had some technical issues, so therefore the Spanish speakers could not listen to the simultaneous interpretation. So we apologize, but during the session we were recording the interpretation. So by the end of the week, we will be able to edit the video so that it's available for you. So don't worry, we'll make it available for you. Will be uploaded to the YouTube channel on Zero Project, and personally I will send the link to each of the attendees. So this won't happen again. We have two webinars more, and we ask you to connect, and we will have the interpreting problem solved so that we can listen in Spanish. Thank you very much for your attention.
That's it.
Thank you so
much,
much,
Anthony.
All right. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you again for all your awesomeness, and have a wonderful evening, morning, or what have you. Bye.
Bye bye. Ciao, ciao. Adios.
Ciao, ciao. Adios.